If you're familiar with this channel, you'll know that I love analyzing skylines. A couple months ago, I made a video ranking the country's 10 most underwhelming skylines, and today I'm going to flip the script and rank the top 10 most overperforming skylines in the US. These aren't necessarily the biggest or tallest skylines out there. What I'm looking for instead with this ranking are the skylines that best punch above their weight. Whether it's because of the city's small population or low profile nationally, these cities have surprisingly impressive skylines that exceed expectations. Now let's get into it. Starting off our list at number 10 is Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the largest city on this list, but even so, its skyline exceeds expectations. Thanks to its role as a financial hub, Charlotte has built a sleek skyline that rivals much larger metros. It's the 21st largest metro in the country, but if you took the average height of its tallest 5 buildings, it would rank as the 14th tallest skyline. The Bank of America Corporate Center is one of my favorite skyscrapers in the country, and the density of buildings surrounding it make it look like a top-tier skyline. At number 9, we have Toledo, Ohio. Toledo is a mid-sized city with a skyline that looks far more prominent than its population suggests. Its metro population of just over 600,000 people makes it the 98th largest metro in the country, yet its skyline would rank as the 65th tallest. Despite not having added many tall buildings in the last few decades, Toledo still has one of the strongest skylines in its population tier. The next city on the list is the first of 2 Gulf Coast cities to appear on this ranking, and that's New Orleans. The Central Business District includes a solid cluster of high-rises that look more modern and substantial than people might expect from a metro of New Orleans size. With a metro population ranking of only 59, New Orleans' skyline significantly overachieves by having the 22nd tallest skyline in the country. That difference of 37 spots is one of the largest on this list, but what holds New Orleans back from being ranked higher is that its prominence as a city may lead you to assume that it would have an even more impressive skyline. I know some people won't like this next pick, but in the 7th spot, I have Oklahoma City. The Devon Tower dominates the city at 844 feet in height, taller than anything in cities with much larger populations such as Boston, Denver, and Minneapolis. Although the OKC skyline isn't particularly noteworthy outside of the Devon Tower, there's still enough there to where I'd consider it a surprisingly impressive cityscape overall. And the skyline may get significantly more vertical in the future, considering the approval of what would be the tallest skyscraper in the country, the Legends Tower. Next on the list is one of my personal favorite skylines in the whole country, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The city's location at the confluence of 3 rivers, its dramatic topography, and a tightly packed cluster of high-rises make it one of the most picturesque skylines in the country. Pittsburgh has the 28th largest metro in the country, but the average height of its tallest 5 buildings would make it the 16th tallest skyline. And that metric doesn't capture just how dense Pittsburgh's skyline is. And I have to also mention that the experience of driving out of the Fort Pitt Tunnel is one of the most breathtaking experiences I've had in relation to taking in a city skyline. Pittsburgh certainly punches above its weight, but to me, not quite as much as the next few cities on this list. In the 5th spot on this ranking is one of the most overlooked skylines in the country, Little Rock, Arkansas. With a population of about 770,000, it is significantly more impressive than any city of a similar size, with the exception of one city which is actually next on the list. Little Rock has the 80th largest metro in the country, but the 48th tallest skyline in the country, being comparable to much larger cities such as Salt Lake City, Utah, and Raleigh, North Carolina. The one city in Little Rock's population class that has a more impressive skyline is Des Moines, Iowa. It actually has a smaller population than Little Rock, being ranked as the country's 82nd largest metro, yet its skyline is more impressive, being ranked as the 44th tallest. The city has an impressive collection of towers led by the 630-foot 801 Grand, which anchors a clean and cohesive downtown. I live in neighboring Minnesota and have lots of family in Des Moines, so it's a city that I visit somewhat frequently, and I certainly think it's a skyline that exceeds expectations. In the 3rd spot on this ranking is one of the fastest growing skylines in the country, Austin, Texas. Austin has the 25th largest metro in the country, but its skyline would currently rank as the 15th tallest in the country. It'll climb that ranking even further when the super tall skyscraper The Waterline is complete, elevating the skyline to the 9th tallest in the country. I realize that the gap between Austin's metro population and its skyline isn't as large on paper as it was for the last couple of cities that I've mentioned, but when it comes to larger cities, Austin is the first skyline that comes to mind for me when I think of the most over-performing skylines. While making this ranking, I kept going back and forth between my top two, but ultimately settled on Mobile, Alabama as the second most over-performing skyline in the country. Mobile was a true dark horse when it came to this ranking. No city on this list has a larger gap between its metro population ranking and its skyline height ranking. With a metro population of 412,000, it ranks as the 136th largest metro in the country, being significantly smaller than any other city on this list. Yet the average height of its tallest 5 buildings would place it as the 43rd tallest skyline, beating out larger cities such as Little Rock and Des Moines. Its tallest building is the RSA Battle House Tower, which at 745 feet in height is the tallest building on the Gulf Coast outside of Houston. Before I get to the most over-performing skyline, I wanted to hit a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make it on the list. You could make a strong case that Las Vegas and Atlantic City should have been included, Atlantic City in particular given its small population. I ultimately decided to leave them off because it felt like in this context their skylines were artificially inflated due to their casinos. The other honorable mentions I'd considered were Omaha, Nebraska and San Francisco, California. Now moving on to the most over-performing skyline, which is Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu has a massive skyline in terms of its sheer number of high-rises. It has 92 buildings over 300 feet in height, which is more than any city in the country not named New York, Chicago, Houston, or Miami. It reminds me of a smaller version of Vancouver's skyline, which is regarded as one of the best on the continent. It doesn't have the same height as some of the other skylines I've mentioned on this list, but its huge number of high-rises relative to its population ranking of 54 was enough to earn it the top spot. Well, that does it for this ranking video. Let me know which city you think deserves a spot here or if I missed one entirely. Thanks for watching.